So welcome back to Street Switch Photography. This is about a trial that's going on in America at the moment after President Trump bombed Venezuela and arrested the president, took him back over to America to face trial. The trial has begun today. Let's roll the intro. So welcome back to Street Switch Photography. Now what I decided I'd do is go and look at the lefty channel and see what they're actually saying, because we've actually got Palestine protesters out on the streets saying hands off Venezuela, even though all the people in Venezuela are actually celebrating that this arsehole has actually left the country because of President Trump. So it'd be very interesting to see what they actually say about it, and I thought it'd be a little bit of a different look at it. So let's play this video, see what this channel is actually saying. This is a far left channel. I think I've done a debunk on it before. They talk absolute shit. Believe me, they do talk shit. You can see the comments down here. Let me just move this a little bit so you can see some of the comments. Hold on. Not me. This. There you go. You'll be able to see the comments down there at the bottom of the screen. I'm going to go and turn live chatting on mine now. So live chat is active if you want to come up and chat on there, or even go over to this channel and mention my channel and tell people to get over to my channel, because my channel is better than this heap of crap. Anyway, let's play the video and see what they say.
It's a new year and a new world. Welcome to Navarra Live. I'm Michael Walker. I'm joined by Aaron Bastani. We will be discussing all night Venezuela, of course. Aaron, welcome back.
Michael, my pleasure. I'm rather unwell. If I sneeze live on air, my apology.
You'll offend somebody. Now, I'm going to sort of put it out there, and I think these are going to condemn President Trump and what he's done, because they are not exactly Trump lovers. They won't be giving President Trump a kiss on the cheek anytime soon, or sending him any Christmas or birthday cards. So,
How was your New Year's?
Pleasant enough. I'm getting old. I had tickets to like a day party.
I drank some soy milk.
My partner was sick, so we stayed in. Watched TV, watched David Attenborough's documentary about London, which was fantastic.
You're too young to be calling New Year's Eve pleasant.
I know I am.
You have to be over 40 to do that.
How was yours?
Pleasant.
Pleasant, yeah, but you are over 40, so that's allowed. I'm not going to do coming up tonight. You know what's coming up. As ever, if you'd like to support our work, you can sign up at navarramedia.com/support and make sure to let us know your comments in the YouTube chat. Straight into that first story. Nicolas Maduro, the kidnapped and now deposed president of Venezuela, has today been ferried around New York in dramatic fashion to face trumped-up charges by the world's most powerful rogue state.
Trumped-up charges. This guy from Venezuela, the ex-president of Venezuela, was torturing people. He was a known narcotics dealer. He starved his people whilst he sat there eating the most expensive steak prepared by the world's most expensive chef. Yeah, there's no trumped-up charges here, even though he has pleaded not guilty, and so has his wife. You'll see the footage in a minute.
Celia Flores were transported by helicopter from a detention center in Brooklyn to a helipad in Manhattan. Escorted by armed officers, the two were then taken to armored vehicles in shackles and prison uniforms. From there, the Venezuelan first couple were driven through New York in an armored convoy to a federal courthouse, where they faced drug and weapons charges brought against them by...
Now, this is the same channel that support Greta Thunberg and them terrorists in prison, the ones from Palestine Action that are starving themselves at the moment. This channel supports them as well. Won't even buy them a meal deal. You know what I mean?
The US government. This is, a lot of spectacle for what was, in the end, a very short hearing, with Maduro and Flores pleading not guilty to all the charges. Entering his pleas with the aid of a translator, Maduro said, quote, "I am not guilty. I am a decent man. I am still the president of my country. I was kidnapped."
The same guy that fixed the election, who should not be president. He fixed the election and refused to leave power.
The charges the couple now face are listed in an indictment filed under seal by the US President Donald Trump's Justice Department just before Christmas, but made public on Sunday once Maduro was in US custody. Maduro and his wife are facing these charges. So narco-terrorism conspiracy involving allegations of financing several criminal organizations, including drug cartels.
The cartels, yeah. So basically, he was a gangster. This was a man that basically was doing very bad things.
Now designated as terrorist groups by the US.
Unbelievable.
Cocaine importation and conspiracy, possession of machine guns and destructive devices, and conspiracy to possess machine guns and destructive devices. It's very strange to be charging a president for having access to guns and destructive devices.
Going to fetch something, guys. I'll be back in 2 seconds.
I mean, you should have control of the army as a president. Trump has access to a nuclear button. So the idea the Americans are kidnapping presidents because they might have guns seems very bizarre. Of course, it goes without saying, the legal choreography here is little more than a farce. The narco-terrorism stuff, also complete nonsense. We'll be discussing that throughout tonight's show. Before that, though, let's start by taking a step back and reminding ourselves of the extraordinary events of the past weekend.
Imogen, can you just pass me that floor? Please. So this is the footage, actually, of the bombing that President Trump actually did over in Venezuela.
Francisco de Miranda Air Base in Caracas in the early hours of Saturday morning. It was just one of a series of pre-dawn strikes that hit the Venezuelan capital on Saturday as low-flying US aircraft swept through the capital, leaving a trail of explosions and fires in their wake. Also hit was sites.
Now that's what bombs tend to do, mate, you know.
In strategic areas beyond Caracas, including one of the country's airports.
A bit like cocaine leaving a trail of destruction of families in its wake that this guy was dealing to them. How's that sound?
As well as the port of La Guaira. The first phase of the attack, dubbed Operation Absolute Resolve, involved over 150 US aircraft, including bombers, fighter jets, and surveillance planes, launched from 20 bases on land and sea across the Western Hemisphere. Their mission seemed to have been threefold. First, to create a dazzling display of shock and awe within the capital, and second, to knock out Venezuela's strategic air defenses, with several military sites hit. Third.
So what the accusations are coming from the left is basically that America has illegally started a war with Venezuela. Now, we know Venezuela has got very rich oil. We know they've got quite a bit of, they could have a lot of finance and do very well as a country. But as I said before, this president decided he didn't want to leave presidency and rigged the elections. Therefore, the people of the country were, let's just say, not too sodding happy about it. Now that he's been removed from the country and it will be in the hands of the Americans for a few months or maybe a couple of years, I don't know. But until they get somebody in that can actually run the country and run it properly, and I mean fairly, not illegally, not drugs orientated or anything else.
Though was to offer cover to a convoy of low-flying helicopters that entered the country just 100 feet above the sea. It was a pretty ominous sight, as this footage shows, with a stream of helicopters flying across the city's skyline, plumes of smoke, and explosions in the background. Some of those helicopters were carrying US law enforcement officials tasked with arresting Maduro and Torres, but some were carrying members of the elite Delta Force, that's the US military's top special mission unit, who made up the extraction team tasked with abducting the couple. They arrived at Maduro's compound at just after 2 a.m. local time, and from there it was just minutes before the operation was...
So the reason I'm doing this video is because I think it'll be a little bit of an alternative view of it. I think it's okay, all the other channels doing the mainstream media and everything else. I thought it'd be an interesting look from the left and what they're actually saying and planning on doing about it, because we've already got protests in Great Britain. Keep your hands off Venezuela, because apparently the Palestine one seems to have burnt out. Now they've got something else to latch onto, even though the Venezuelans have turned around and basically said, shut the up. You know what I mean? It's just absolutely ridiculous.
Complete with Maduro and Torres snatched as they tried to reach a fortified safe room. According to General Dan Kane, chairman of the Joint Chiefs, planning for the operation began months ago and involved every branch of US intelligence. It also involved turning one government official close to Maduro into a CIA asset who reported on the president's daily movements.
Now, I wonder if he's the same guy that received $50 million for actually pointing out where this guy was.
As well as the construction of a full-size replica of Maduro's safe house, is apparently what they also did when they captured Bin Laden. That's where, of course, special forces practiced their movements ahead of the operation, which took just 2.5 hours to complete. As you'll now know, it ended with Maduro, pictured here in a photo, handcuffed, blindfolded, and clutching a bottle of water amid a US.
Hey, get on with Greta Thunberg then, wouldn't he? She likes a bottle of water and a sandwich when she's been kidnapped. That's one of the favourite words of the left, isn't it? If you've been arrested for doing something wrong, so if you've been arrested for burglary or if you've been arrested for any other crime and you get arrested for it, you've not been arrested, you've been kidnapped. You've been kidnapped, you have. So if you're entering a country illegally, so say like Greta Thunberg going across on a boat to try and get through Gaza to get to Israel or whatever it was she stupid little woman thought she was doing, said she was kidnapped, given a bottle of water and a sandwich and sent back home. Not many kidnappers do that, do they? So he's been kidnapped. He's not been arrested. He's been kidnapped.
Warship, or aboard, sorry, a US warship. With Maduro removed, illegally, of course, from Venezuela.
How can they say it's illegally? They do not know if it's illegal or not yet. They cannot say that. That is total and utter propaganda. They cannot prove whether this was illegal or not illegal as yet. It's being looked at by lawyers. I'm pretty sure President Trump would have had the brains to turn around and say, you need to check this out for me before we do it. So that is complete and utter bullshit on the far left's behalf. Yet again, more propaganda, more lies.
Quickly turned to who was running the country. This was Trump speaking after the operation on Saturday from his...
Yeah, but why was he still running the country? Because he rigged the elections.
Mar-a-Lago resort.
Well, we're going to be running it with a group, and we're going to make sure it's run properly. We're going to rebuild the oil infrastructure, which will cost billions of dollars. It'll be paid for by the oil companies directly.
Now, I'm going to make a guess here. I'm going to guess this far left idiot on this video is going to try and accuse Trump of stealing oil or stealing assets.
They will.
That's usually what they do.
Be reimbursed for what they're doing, but that's going to be paid. And we're going to get the oil flowing the way it should be. As you know, it was just a minor flow. It was actually a minor flow for what they have. But we're going to run it properly, and we're going to make sure the people of Venezuela are taken care of. We're going to make sure the people that were forced out of Venezuela by this thug are also taken care of.
With other presidents, when they do imperial interventions in other countries, they normally make up a different excuse. They say it's for democracy. They say it's to protect us against terrorism. Trump just says it's for the oil. We want to get the oil.
There you go. It's for the oil. He didn't actually say that, did he? He said he was going to show them what to do with the oil so they can actually earn some money for the country. You fucking idiot.
The oil companies will make sure that all comes out of the ground. Now, of course, the idea of the US running Venezuela remotely, difficult to see what...
Until it's taken over by another Venezuelan president that's capable of running the country, correct?
That means without a full-scale occupation, multiple...
That's one of the favourite words they use as well, isn't it? Occupation. Apparently people are occupying certain land in Gaza and Palestine and everything else, and we know damn well they're not.
Journalists at that press conference...
Because it don't exist.
For details.
Are you saying that Secretary Hegseth and Rubio are going to be running Venezuela, and will you be sending in U.S. military troops to provide...
Team that's working with the people of Venezuela to make sure that we have Venezuela right. Because for us to just leave, who's going to take over? I mean, there is nobody to take over. You have a vice president who's been appointed by Maduro, and right now she's the vice president, and she's, I guess, the president. She was sworn in as president just a little while ago.
You've seen this on the screen where my cursor is. Look at all these melons and all the Palestine supporters on this channel. What a bunch of complete and utter brainwashed morons these people actually are. I mean, I honestly cannot get over that they've decided to start protesting over Venezuela when all the Venezuelans are actually celebrating that they're getting rid of this disgusting human being.
She had a long conversation with Marco, and she said, we'll do whatever you need. I think
if you worked out who it was, if you do your research, if you've got the brains to do the research, meaning not being a lefty, actually go and look who's funding these protests and everything else, you'd be quite shocked.
She was quite gracious, but she really doesn't have a choice.
So Trump there was talking about the vice president.
Well done, President Trump.
As well as Venezuela's vice president. She was the oil minister under Maduro. She was interim president just hours after Maduro's abduction. Shortly...
Not an abduction, an arrest.
After Trump told the world that Rodriguez would do whatever the US needed, she took to Venezuelan state TV to say something quite different.
We are ready to defend Venezuela. We are ready to defend our natural resources that must be for national development.
I agree with that.
The extremists who have promoted this armed aggression against our country, history and justice will make them pay.
So that was a direct threat, I think, to America. Now, I think America, and so do most of the Venezuelan people, I think America have done the right thing. And I don't think that she should be in anywhere, any form of power whatsoever with threats like that to the most powerful country in the world.
If there's something that the Venezuelan people and this country have very clear, is that we will never again be slaves.
By Sunday morning, Trump had his own response to Rodriguez's apparent defiance, telling The Atlantic, quote, "If she doesn't do what's right, she is going to pay a very big price, probably bigger than Maduro."
On him.
Considering that he was captured, I suppose that means killing him. And Trump's Secretary of State, Marco Rubio, was a little more conciliatory on ABC.
We're not going to judge moving forward based simply on what's said in press conferences. We want to see action here at the end of the day. Rhetoric is one thing. You see rhetoric for a lot of different reasons. There's a lot of different reasons why people go on TV and say certain things in these countries, especially 15 hours or 12 hours after the person who used to be in charge of the regime is now in hand.
This year's Nobel Peace Prize winner, Venezuelan opposition leader Maria Corina Machado, had been busily supporting Trump's military interventions in her country.
Hence she won a Nobel Peace Prize. You Penfold-looking...
So she'd say, please come and invade. Trump, though, didn't appear to have much time for her.
Such a beta male he is, isn't he? He's been, like, feminised. He's completely lost his manliness.
His Saturday press conference.
Soy
I think it'd
boy.
be very tough for her to be the leader. She doesn't have the support within, or the respect within the country. She's a very nice woman, but she doesn't have the respect.
Soy boy.
That must have really pissed her off, right? She doesn't seem like a very nice person, but her candidate did win the election in 2024. So when he says she doesn't have enough support within the country, what he really means, I think, is she doesn't have enough support within the army. And
well, basically what's happened is, as I said before, Trump has gone in and taken this piece of trash out of the country, of which all the Venezuelans are now basically cheering at. The BBC are not reporting on it as they should be. They're reporting it from a far left ideology as well, because they're controlled by a government. Didn't you know that? So are ITV, so are Channel 4, so are Channel 5, all mainstream media channels. There's a lot they're not telling people. There's a lot they don't want to tell people because they'll see the real truth.
The police. So that if you sort of were to suggest that she should take charge.
And it's people like this here that actually believe it because they've been brainwashed and they're incapable of critical thinking.
Social order would be in danger.
And asking questions like why.
Insurgency on your hand.
One, two.
It might also be that it was a more mundane reason why Trump rebutted Machado. This is from the Washington Post. Two people close to the White House said the president's lack of interest in boosting Machado, despite her recent efforts to flatter Trump, stemmed from her decision to accept the Nobel Peace Prize, an award the president has openly coveted. Although Machado ultimately said she was dedicating the award to Trump, her acceptance of the probably something more fundamental going on than that. But with Trump, you can...
Come on then, let's hear the accusations you've got now, mate. You've said half of it.
Never be sure. The capture of Maduro has led to celebrations from some of the 8 million Venezuelans living in exile.
Some of.
Globally, 1 in 5 Venezuelans have left the country in recent years.
Because of this president, yes. They're correct figures.
That joy for opponents of the regime might have been tempered by the fact that it is people from Maduro's regime who remain in power, not the opposition leaders they might have preferred. Within the country...
So what he was trying to say was basically the last president rigged the election to stay in power.
I suppose it's difficult to gather what is the mood among the general public. These are some interviews, though, captured at a pro-Maduro protest in Caracas.
Let me tell you, I'm just wondering if this will be from the BBC or people saying that they're walking home with shopping or people saying that they don't know where they are.
By Reuters.
That's normal, just walk down the street with an AK-47, you know, as you do. Barbaric, undereducated people that they are.
We don't want them to impose a Yankee government on us.
They're not going to impose a Yankee government on you, you silly four-eyed cow.
are free and sovereign. We are a people with guarantees in the Bolivarian Constitution. We are a free people, free and sovereign.
Who were being starved to death by their ex-president.
Donald Trump is not going to take our oil. Rubio is not going to govern us. We have a president and a vice president who will assume for now, but our president is Nicolas Maduro.
Here is the great motorized force of Caracas.
So why are the men with guns in the background? These are obviously militants. And part of the cartel, I'm guessing. Where else would they have got guns from like that?
We took to the streets of Caracas to tell the world to raise their voice about the kidnapping of our president. And we won him back, damn it. Long live the homeland, and long live Maduro.
So if somebody wants to go and Google members of the Venezuelan cartel, maybe you can spot a couple of them in here.
So, I mean, the size of those protests is interesting. So obviously there was a coup or an attempted coup against Chavez in 2002 or 2003, I can't quite remember. And one of the reasons that was sort of defeated is because you had hundreds of thousands of people coming out into the street. As far as I can tell, we haven't seen that this time round. Aaron, I'll be going to an expert guest in a moment to find out some more of the details about whether we are seeing...
I don't know how they can say the word expert without laughing their heads off, because I know I couldn't.
Massive protests in Venezuela, or if not, why not? Initially, though, I want your initial take, your initial thoughts on viewing these dramatic events over the weekend.
Before you go to the expert, you'll go to the inexpert analysis. It's really important to say that this is a continuation of the norm for the United States and how it treats Latin America.
How it treats a threat to its people, you mean to say?
In many ways, Trump is, of course,
Remember, these people, if you can see down here, all the melons and everything else, are terrorist supporters. Palestine Action was basically tagged as a terrorist organisation in Great Britain. If you've seen the video of a woman snapping somebody's back with a sledgehammer in a factory, also them attacking an RAF base, these are the very same people that are supporting these people in Venezuela and this president that's recently been arrested for being in the drugs cartel.
Exceptional president. He's a break with the status quo. But if you look at the long term, the last 130 years, this is very much in keeping with what we've seen. You had US Marines in places like Haiti and Cuba.
Another feminized man. No testosterone whatsoever, beta male soy boy.
At the turn of the 20th century.
Can't even grow a proper fucking beard.
Reagan was embroiled in various deplorable episodes in both Central and South America. You can go further and further and further back and find all manner of things. Dollar imperialism and claims of bringing liberty. So all manner of arguments have been made for US interventions in South America, and Trump has actually pretty much made all of them, depending on what day of the week it is. Where it is different...
All of which are true. What's your... That's the face he's pulling at the minute.
However, is that we now live in a world of increasing multipolarity and uncertainty about how the US views its role in wider global affairs. And that's why it's particularly interesting. You know, you could talk about Aristide in Haiti. You could talk about Noriega in Panama. This has happened many, many times before.
Somebody just said in the comments there, so boring, correct. I was thinking actually about stopping the live stream and going to watch some brown paper bags, some paint dry, some grass grow. Or maybe try and concentrate doing the Jedi mind trick on making my rug grow. He should try that with his beard.
But the point that this is happening at now is coterminous with a potential intervention in Iran, Gaza, Russia's war in Ukraine, and people are broadly insinuating, I think correctly, that it's part of a wider shift to a new kind of global settlement. And Ash was very kind to cite my thinking on this on X over the weekend. We're moving to a world of three global apex predators: Russia, China, the US. The US views the Western Hemisphere as its sphere of influence. I'm broadly sympathetic to that. Broadly. I don't think it's the whole story, though, because one must remember that one of the more absurd things that Trump did in his first presidency...
How can he say one of the more absurd Trump things did? One of the more absurd. like they don't do anything absurd every single day of the week whilst protesting for Palestine Action, which is a terrorist organisation.
Was issue an arrest warrant for the daughter of
the
Ren
October the
Zhefeng,
7th deniers, the Holocaust deniers.
Imagine the daughter of Bill Gates.
You couldn't have picked a more boring person to actually... I'd love to see this guy's calculator collection. I'm going to go and buy a new calculator today along with a brown paper bag, and I write the date and time on the brown paper bag and I store them in a glass cabinet.
Or Elon Musk.
I put it next to my breeze block collection.
Very senior figure, the most senior industrialist in China, and they tried to lock up his daughter, right? That only ended with the Biden presidency. So I wouldn't necessarily give that much or ascribe that much rationality to how Trump does these things. Some of the response has, however, made me laugh. Oh, it only took 90 minutes. Guess what, dummy? The first 90 minutes of the Iraq War took 90 minutes.
Oh, he found a little bit of testosterone then. That was a bit... Oh, careful, mate, you might overdose.
It's not over. Or Andrew...
Did his beard just grow a millimetre? I think it did, didn't it? Yeah, you might get some of that hairline back. I mean, at least mine's gone and I shave it all off. You know what I mean?
Andrew Tate saying... It
doesn't fall out. It falls through my head, comes out my chin, nose, ears and eyebrows.
It was just one helicopter flight and now we have trillions of dollars. No, you don't. The vice president's in charge and you don't have trillions of dollars worth of oil. So in some ways, actually, you know, I said that the broader global context is really interesting. I also think the response to all of this from Trump's supporters.
How many times
really
do you think they're going to do this?
It's so different to the kind of the exaltations of exporting liberty we saw at the start of the 21st century. So yeah, Trump says wild, stupid things. I get it. But there is a
So do you. Like, from the river to the sea, calling for the mass genocide of Jewish people, like Global Intifada, calling for the mass genocide of everybody, whilst saying stop the genocide, you effing moron.
Mass movement actually saying things which are even more zany, more hyper-nationalistic, more crude, more, you know...
Go on, say bum bum. Say it. Say bum bum. Swear, mate. Christ
murderous
on the bike.
And genocidal than even he is. And maybe that is the future direction of the Republican Party.
Why are these people so goddamn prude?
I suspect not. I suspect it's so insane it burns itself out. But I think that's what's really interesting here, is the dual level of the geopolitics, but also this social movement beneath Trump, which, let's be honest, is wild, incoherent, and mad.
Who we got here?
Let's bring in Juan David.
Let's bring in the expert.
Juan is a US-based journalist who specializes in Latin America, writes the Substack Social Democracy with Populist Characteristics, which is very up my street.
Night, folks.
Sort of statement. You spent much of the last year covering the escalating rhetoric, Juan. Welcome to the show.
More Palestine flags there, look.
Happy Bad New Year, guys, and I sign off on everything you guys just said.
Perfect. That still leaves us with a lot to talk about, though. I want to know from you, did the events of the weekend take you by surprise? I mean, they took me by surprise, but as someone who's been sort of following it.
Now, President Trump was going to try and do this last term in office, but he never got round to doing it as far as I know. Again, this president of Venezuela was a criminal, and I think basically Trump's done the right thing. When he says he's going to do something, he does it. Not like our Prime Minister, who says, I'm going to stop the boats, and doesn't do it.
More closely, did you actually see this as one of the plausible outcomes, sort of coming in the middle of the night, abducting Maduro?
I mean, and you know, it's still shocking, but no, honestly, no, I wasn't. I mean, I expected this to happen. Yeah, I mean, it's still surprising, but...
Joining us this evening, great to get you back on the show. Aaron, I want to talk to you, I suppose, more about the Monroe Doctrine. So the Monroe Doctrine, James Monroe, president in 1823. This was the idea that the entire of the Americas was the...
What's that got to do with now? About what this guy has actually done? The fact of the situation is we've got Palestine Action protests out on the streets in Great Britain, in America, in every town, every city and everything else. This has just gave them another reason to protest because their government paid protesters. This has been proven time and time again. Yet we still have lefty idiots like this that don't believe it, that refuse to believe the truth, the October the 7th deniers, the Holocaust deniers, the Jew haters, because that's exactly what they are, anti-Semitic idiots, ideologues. And they will never admit to it because they carry with them an air of narcissism, which is basically so far off the scale, it's become a mental illness with them. And that is exactly what I believe. Anyway, I'm going to call this the end of the video because he needs to go and have a look at his calculator collection, and the other bloke's got some brown paper bags to iron to put in his flaming cabinet. This has been Street Switch Photography. If you like this video, please like and subscribe. Go and hit the notification bell. It's another lefty channel. I thought it would be a bit different. You could read the comments down here. Thank you to the person that commented there. Roll that bloody outro. Let me in, yeah. Soy boy.